see dead people. There have been many TV shows of Star Wars. For example, The Mandalorian, we have Book of Boba Fett, Clone Wars, Rebels, and of course Andor, just to name a few. That got me thinking, what would a Maul TV show look like? And that's when I decided to do season 1 of... Now hold up, okay? Before we start, I just want to say this is just me freeballing. This isn't anything that's going to be fully concrete. This is like a what if episode type of thing. What if they made a Maul TV show, and what would that look like? So for season 1, I decided to focus on his early life. So let's get straight into it. So like I said, season 1 is all about Maul's early life. So episode 1. This episode could consist of a child or teenage Maul who is raised by his night sister. Lots of world building can be done in this episode, something like showing us the harsh and dangerous world Dathomir actually is. This episode also shows us Maul's training in the mystical ways of the night sisters, his connection to the dark side of the force due to his aggression and power being too much for the Night Sister mother, but he also sees a lot of potential in him. We could see how Dathomir was before more of a betterish place than what we have been shown already. This is where we see Maul's training take a dark turn, as he has to do a brutal rite of passage within the Night Sisters tribe, and of course a part of this trial, Maul must prove his strength and most importantly his loyalty. Maul will have to go through some trials, with the final one being a hunt where he must hunt one of the most dangerous creatures on Dathomir. This experience will force Maul to confront his fear and pain, making him use the dark side of the force more to help him overcome this obstacle. Maul, struggling with his anger, finally gets the attention of Sidious. Sidious is introduced at the end of this episode to build up anticipation for the next episode. The third episode will show Maul more and more struggling with his anger, and Sidious meeting with the Night Sisters, kind of like we've seen how a Jedi would be finding a Force sensitive. The Night Sisters protest, but Sidious, being Sidious, steals Maul away from the Night Sisters. We can see the conflict this has created in Maul, where he wants to be with Sidious, but he also wants to keep his allegiance, his loyalty to the Night Sisters. This episode highlights Maul's first encounter with Sidious, who begins Maul's training. Weeks go by and Sidious is training Maul in the Dammas holding facility on Mustafar, where Sidious focuses on shaping Maul's body and mind into the deadly weapon he will become, teaching him the ways of the dark side, lightsaber combat and the philosophy of the Sith. We see Maul struggle with the brutality of his new life, but Sidious instills in him a singular focus, which is to destroy the Jedi and serve the Sith's ultimate purpose. This episode shows Maul's development as a deadly assassin. Maul is sent on his first mission as Sidious's enforcer. His mission is to eliminate a young, inexperienced Jedi Knight who is uncovering clues about Sidious's plan. This mission takes Maul to Biss. Here we see some planet building done, where Maul is taking in everything and everyone around him, putting his assassin traits into action to find the Jedi Knight. While here, Maul is tailing the Jedi Knight for some days to figure out his patterns and where to strike and what his weaknesses are. While on this mission, one day Maul is forced to confront his past when he encounters another Dathomirian who remembers him from his childhood. This encounter dredges up painful memories of his time with the Night Sisters. Maul begins to struggle with his identity, torn between his family, who he was, and the Sith Lord he is becoming. Sidious feels this in the Force and manipulates Maul, reminding him that he has no family, no ties, no past. He only has the Sith. This episode ends with Maul abandoning any remnants and memories of his old life and fully embracing the Sith philosophy entirely. This episode we are shown that Maul, who is ready to face the inexperienced Jedi Knight. This is both Maul's and the Jedi Knight's first ever real fight, with Maul luckily getting the upper hand on the Jedi Knight, being able to disarm the Jedi Knight and use his lightsaber against him. This is where Maul gets his Kyber crystal. Maul returns back to Mustafar, where Sidious is waiting for him to move to the next phase of Maul's training, lightsaber combat. This section, Maul is taught all about the Kyber crystal and the creation of lightsabers. We see Maul find a Sith holocron which shows him a design he wants to use for his lightsaber. Then a whole lightsaber creation sequence happens where, like Starkiller, we see Maul angrily put his lightsaber together. Once this is done, Sidious begins creating Maul into a more proficient Sith assassin. Sidious begins preparing him for a grander purpose in his eventual rise to power. Sidious sends him to eliminate an entire village to test his resolve and prove his willingness to embrace the dark side. Maul is sent by Sidious to a desolate planet in the unknown regions steeped in the dark side to retrieve a powerful Sith artifact. Upon arriving, Maul faces treacherous terrain and haunting visions that force him to confront his fears, doubts and memories of his past. His long journey leads him to an old abandoned Sith stronghold where a trial plunges him into a harrowing vision of an alternate reality. In this vision, Maul sees himself as a Jedi, experience peace yet feeling out of place, followed by a confrontation with a shadowy manifestation of his darker self. The shadow tempts Maul with the promise of independence and power, urging him to overthrow Sidious. Ultimately, Maul rejects the shadow's offer and claims the Sith artifact, solidifying his loyalty to Sidious, but not without having some lingering inner conflict. This episode concludes with Maul delivering the artifact to Sidious, receiving praise for his success, yet as he stares into the artifact's reflective surface. And that wraps up season 1 of the Maul TV show. What do you guys think? Please let me know. And yeah, that's really it. Wait for a bonus clip at the end. Like the video.